We're going to look at some of the under the surface stuff in After Effects. And when After Effects first came out, there wasn't a lot of the features you have now where you could drag and drop and that kind of stuff for just simple buttons. You had to kind of do quite a bit of coding. And to help you with that, there was some special tools that were built in to minimize the constant typing in of computer code. And for those of you that are lucky enough not to know what that is, good for you. But it does still exist, and it is hiding in the background. So what we're going to do is we're going to close up the window pane layer. We're done with that. Take our playhead back to 0 seconds, 0 frames. And what we're going to do is we're going to look at the window lit layer. Now again, those are all the transform properties. But I'm really not interested in all the transform properties. So if I just select that and hit T, it'll give me the opacity. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to use this tool that's called the Quick Whip tool. And what I want to do basically is to save myself some time by using some instructions that I've got on one layer and placing them onto this layer. And as I said before, you know, back before we had these point and click features, you did have to do quite a bit of coding. And it's not the most fun thing to do, but to minimize some of that, they put these tools in. Now, to access those tools, if you're using a Mac, you hold down your Option key and you click on the stopwatch for opacity. And basically what it does is it opens up some tools, and you can actually see some code that's buried in there that says transform.opacity. And what happens here now is this tool, this Pick Whip tool, is going to save me some time by basically kind of taking some code from one layer and embedding it into this layer. So this is the Quick Whip tool here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to click and I'm going to drag, and a line's going to come, and I'm going to set it up to the opacity, which has keyframes on it. And in those keyframes, there's code that's buried, and you don't really see it. And now when I let go of that, you can see it basically took those keyframes and buried them into this code. Now, you're not going to see the keyframes, but in essence, what's going to happen is when you go to play this back, it is going to basically kind of take those same keyframe properties, and it's going to embed them in that window lit layer. So it was kind of one of the early features that kind of saved you from having to go to each layer and type in this code, this nonsense, which, I mean, it's still there. And if you really want to become a heavy duty user, you know, like if you want serious kung fu in this piece of software, you would probably have to learn some of this. Thankfully, not as much as you used to 20 years ago, but you know, there's certainly some advantage. Like if you're wanting to come up with your own kind of unique special effects presets, you know, this is how you do it. You have to get in there and you have to code stuff, which you know, really isn't for the faint of heart. But you know, it certainly is a good idea to learn a little bit about this. And again, you won't see those keyframes because they're just embedded in this code. So, you know, once you've got that done, you can close up these things and you don't even need to worry about it anymore. And then, you know, you've basically kind of recreated those elements onto another layer without having to go through all those steps. So again, it's just getting into kind of the really like the nuts and bolts of this piece of software. So again, we're not going to do very much of this. We're going to dabble in it a little bit, and this will be the extent of it. But you know, like I said, if you really wanted to learn this program, this is kind of where you have to go.